Why am I telling you this, and why am I naming these people now and even in the previous episode, is so that when you are writing your answers, your mains, or when you are giving your your personality test or your interview, you can quote these people verbatim, because these guys are something and they have done something in their lives at some point in time. So you can quote them directly and say that this is what this person is saying about this, in case you find it difficult to talk about it yourself, in case you find it difficult in terms of it being a contentious issue and you don't really want to express yourself fully, then you use these people as shields and say that this person said this or that person said this, and this is how I understand this subject or this topic. Welcome, all of you, to the second Big Picture Current Affairs Analysis class. And it's good to see you and have you all here. For those of you who can, please be on camera so that you can soak all this information in. Please don't make me say it again and again. It's good for you, it's good for me, it's good for everyone else as well. So it makes life a lot more simpler for you, for me, and everyone too. So for those of you who can, please be on camera. And today we're going to talk about, we're going to listen first to some experts, and then you can listen to me as well on cybersecurity and technology. And that's what we're going to focus on, and that's what we're going to look at today. Quite a few things, quite a few aspects that are going around as far as cybersecurity and technology are concerned, because that's the next big thing: artificial intelligence, cyber technology, cybersecurity, technology, and everything else. Everyone, all of you are, I'm sure, aware of the power grid issue in Maharashtra and Mumbai, especially with the Chinese hacking and everything else that was associated with it. So without actually being somewhere remotely, you can wreak havoc with another country, another organization, or another community. And we've seen a lot of that happening of late. That's why it is extremely important. And we'll look at a few episodes of Big Picture. We'll look at majorly three episodes of Big Picture today. And the fourth one, I just wanted to show you, when I play that out to you, I'll tell you what it is exactly. So we'll start today's class with what am I going to focus on today. Let me just look at my notes, my digital notes, and we will look at, this is a big thing. This is something that the Prime Minister has spoken about. There's a parliamentary standing committee that has debated and discussed this particular issue of late, and everyone seems to be talking about it, and so much so that the entire World Cup fever was around cryptocurrency and the number of cryptocurrencies that are there with it. All big Bollywood stars advertising and coming forward and selling cryptocurrency without it even being a legal tender in India. How that happened, how that is happening, don't ask me, but it is happening. And we'll look at cryptocurrency first, and then we'll move on to the next subject. Let me just share my screen. For some reason, I can't. What does it say? Computer audio portion of screen. Just give me a moment, please. I don't know why I can't share my Chrome screen. For some reason, that's not.
An announcement to make before I start the analysis. Of course, we have launched 14 new courses at the Bharatapur Knowledge Center. It's your one-stop destination for all your competitive exams, and we totally now have 26 courses at the Knowledge Center, and we are covering a wide gamut of areas. Do go to kc.bharatafirst.com and register now. We have an early bird discount offer, and all these 26 courses are available at less than 1,000 rupees per course. So it's a whole new learning experience where hundreds are reaping the benefits of the Knowledge Center. Don't be left behind. Register right now and experience this all new way of learning. You won't be disappointed, just as so many others have thoroughly enjoyed this learning experience.
Let me just reshare this, share sound, share screen, and let me start from the beginning. Today we're going to look at cryptocurrency. Why is cryptocurrency important? What are the concerns when it comes to cryptocurrency?
I mean, its initial years, it was used within the internet or within games to either barter for things or to buy things, digital products. But over the last decade or so, its acceptance has grown beyond the internet, and it now the tokens now position themselves as currency, and they because of the heft that these tokens have behind them and the value that they have in they multiplied in value over the last decade or so, they have become also an investment opportunity, and that is where all these advertisements are basically focusing. They are inviting you to invest in these I won't call them currency, in these crypto tokens, and if they're promising you an enormous amount of return if you were to invest. Unfortunately, our regulators are ignoring them both as currency and also as an investment vehicle, and that is creating trouble not only for the investor. I mean, the usage, of course, is another part, and I'm sure Yashwardhan ji would address that part. The usage, of course, is it's hidden. I mean, the fact that these who issues these currencies, who owns them, and how do you establish the digital trade beyond the exchange is something which is a cause of concern among terrorism experts and even drug enforcement agencies across the world, because uh, as it started masquerading itself as a currency, it started also being used in the dark web for exchanging not just drugs but even algorithms or technology which could be used for hacking or which could be used for getting into another country's digital infrastructure and so on and so forth.
Right. In the meantime, the threat. Okay. So this is what we understand as far as cryptocurrency is concerned. You need to note the expert, who is Yatish Rajawat. He's a senior journalist. He's been the editor-in-chief of Amar Ujala in the past, DNA newspaper that is owned by the Z Group, and he has led several print and digital newsrooms in the past. He is currently, I think, the CEO of an organization called Center for Innovation in Public Policy. Why am I telling you this, and why am I naming these people now and even in the previous episode, is so that when you are writing your answers, your mains, or when you are giving your your personality test or your interview, you can quote these people verbatim, because these guys are something and they have done something in their lives at some point in time. So you can quote them directly and say that this is what this person is saying about this. In case you find it difficult to talk about it yourself, in case you find it difficult in terms of it being a contentious issue and you don't really want to express yourself fully, then you use these people as shields and say that this person said this or that person said this, and this is how I understand this subject or this topic. So he is talking about cryptocurrency not even being a currency, because it is not used as a currency. It is more like a token. It is more like, that is something that is used as an exchange. It is not used as a currency. It is used as a barter at the moment, and that is what the problem is. Another big issue is that we don't really know who owns it. We don't really know who has control over it, and we don't know what is being done with it. It is done with a lot of secrecy and cannot be traced back to the person who has created it or where it originates from. That is the big takeaway. Okay. Now, what are the security threats that cryptocurrencies pose? This is what is an important aspect of this. This is what the Prime Minister has been speaking about over the last 2 weeks. This is what the Parliamentary Standing Committee has been deliberating upon. And let's listen into what Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, who is the former Secretary Security, and he's also a former Special Director of the Intelligence Bureau. Let's listen into what he has to say about this.
You see, as of now, it is a nascent thing on the terrorism market. I think India is about ninth in terms of cryptocurrency trade, about 42 billion or something. And even in terms of the illicit trade on the cryptocurrency, terrorism per se is around 0.05%. But we have clear evidence that ISIS was using it. And we also have evidence which is out in the market that Al-Shadak or some organization which was affiliated with the Al-Qaeda was advertising through Facebook and I think LinkedIn or one of these social media platforms asking for donations. And they were getting donations in the name of helping the poor. But you could immediately make out that it was an affiliate of the Al-Qaeda. So it was basically terror funding. Now, when you use cryptocurrency for terror funding, what do you need it for? You need it for what? Receipt, management, and also disbursement. And today the pressure is high to move to this system because of anonymity. That's one. And because the Hawala transactions, again, are being difficult, it's purely in black money. And of course, the digital platform is also being frequently checked by the various governments. So there is a push towards this. And it has been seen in the international market that transactions between criminals are taking place through this cryptocurrency. And one very dangerous thing which I want to say, which is happening is that with Taliban now producing almost 83 to 85% of the world's heroin, and which is being grown there, India has become a point of transit, storage, and further distribution. So the problem is that when you are confronted with this kind of a thing, then you wonder, how do you approach? That we'll, of course, discuss later. But the point is, some of the transactions which are being done is that you get an access only to the dark web, to those, TOR, the Indian router, or whatever the technical thing that you should understand. You get those. So that is how you are purchasing drugs. And also the payment is through the cryptocurrency. So it has become very, very difficult for the counter-terror agencies unless they are fully equipped. And there are so many things which need to be done now to counter this menace.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Frank.
So that is clear as well.
Both Mr. Azad and Mr. Yatish.
Very, very clear as to what kind of security threat it poses, how it is being used and where it is being used, and how we have to be better prepared. I don't think we need more explanation on that. If there is anything, we'll take it up at the end. Okay, moving on.
Has brought out some of the...
So what are some of the challenges? Now listen to what Shoival Bhattacharjee, who is a cybersecurity expert. He's also on several of the panels, helping the government out with regards to cyber laws and cyber technology issues. And let's hear what he has to say.
Worrying facets of cryptocurrency happening at this stage. As all of us agree, this is something that is gaining currency every day. We still don't understand many of the things that are on the surface. And there are even more multiple number of things which are below the surface, which implies to that point where you are coming from, the dark net and from everywhere, where it is emanating, where the anonymity plays, how far the criminals are using it, how far the terrorists are using it, and what all is going on. In fact, the very premise of cryptocurrency based on blockchain technology, a technology which is relatively considered secure, or at least an identifiable aspect of digital technology. However, we have seen in the recent times about how even this is being broken into. Of course, there is an advantage that the link need not necessarily disrupt the whole network. But what we have seen is that apart from money laundering, there are a lot of other issues, that are coming up. First, do we recognize this as a digital asset? Of course, I don't think we will look at it as any form of currency, and that's a kind of an understanding even across most of the nations of the world. But if we are looking at it as a digital asset, then what is the regulatory mechanism that we are going to have? Uh, which are the cryptos, that we would then allow? Should only those cryptos that leave a trail or have traceability features, these are the ones that would be done.
You see, there are
So,
several countries
what are
now
the
which are
challenges?
pursuing.
It's a new technology. It is still in its nascent stage, and the authorities are finding it difficult to deal with it. It is also based on a technology that authorities and agencies are actually using to try and safeguard digital transactions. So this has been taken to another level by crypto experts and is being done this way. Also, another important aspect that Shuvimal has raised is about regulation, and how important is it to regulate and what kind of regulation we need. That is something that will come up a little later on. We'll listen into that as well. But for now, this is the key takeaway here. Okay, moving on.
The route of a central bank issued digital currency. It's called CBDC. It's based on the same technology as the crypto, in the sense that it is based on the blockchain technology. But the issuer here is the central bank.
So the question is, what about RBI's digital currency? How will it be different? There's so much that is being spoken about RBI coming out with its own technology and new own currency, digital currency. And let's see where that stands right now. Yatish is someone who's consulting or who's advising the Ministry of Finance on this particular issue, and he's speaking about it. Let's listen.
As you know, I mean, currency only is an IOU. It's a legal document which says that the central bank of this country owes you 10 rupees if that is what you have. So the CBDC will be a currency which will match perfectly and which will be backed by the central bank. Hence, it will be part of our economy, and any issuing of that CBDC will automatically add to the money supply in the country. So, to Mr. Bhattacharya's earlier question, that what should be recognized as a digital asset? Should the crypto be recognized as a digital asset? The answer to that question is in the CBDC. The CBDC will be recognized as a digital asset, but it will have the value of a rupee, in the sense that when you exchange it against any other currency, its value will be equated to the rupee, not to an amorphous exchange which does not have any meaning, nor does have any standard in terms of making a valuation. The biggest challenge of crypto is that one day it is $1,000 and the next day it is suddenly valued at $2,000. So when you exchange between one day to another, you don't know, how much will be the inflation. It can fall also by the same.
So the word here is volatility. That's the biggest problem as far as cryptocurrency is concerned. It is highly volatile. It can go from $1,000 to $2,000 and go from $1,000 to $100. And this is something that we need to understand. There's a lot of hullabaloo created about cryptocurrency, but it is a bubble that is waiting to burst, is what all agencies, all experts, and also all the central agencies are talking about. The government is also talking about it and has warned youngsters from not to get into it. But cryptocurrency is here to stay. There is big money being spent to advertise. There is big money being spent to try and use it as much as possible, and that is what we need to deal with. And as far as the central bank's digital currency is concerned, it's on the cards. It's something that the RBI is closely looking at. Not just the RBI. This is being looked at by countries from around the world, because this issue is not limited to India alone. It is something that is being spoken about all over the world, and countries are looking at this very closely. More on this.
Your 10 rupee note or your 100 rupee note does not fall into value like that. I mean, it does fall into value due to inflation because of usage, but not to the same degree and not to the same level. So the CBDC, the pilot for which will start from December, and which is why both the RBI governor made a statement yesterday saying that people should not invest in cryptocurrency. But now there is a gray area. The RBI issues currency, so therefore they will issue the central bank digital currency. But who will regulate the existing crypto exchanges and cryptocurrencies existing in the market? Either the legislator brings out a bill, which is there's a draft bill which already exists, which has been sent to the parliamentary committee for review, and which is what it has been holding meeting for the yesterday and today. Either it says clearly that we ban cryptocurrency and the only currency that will apply in the country is the central bank digital currency, or it says that privately issued digital tokens will be allowed and their usage will be governed by a regulatory authority. Now, who is the regulatory authority?
So that's an important point, that is being made. Once you have the RBI's digital currency or the central bank's digital currency, what then happens to the rest of the cryptocurrencies? Because there are so many. Bitcoin is one of them, the most popular of them all. What is going to happen to all of these? Because they have grown in popularity. Many people have invested in it. Many people have bought them, or rather mined for them. And there is so much happening in the cryptocurrency space. So the central government comes out with something. What happens to all these private players? You either say that you ban them all and they're not allowed because the central bank has its own currency, or secondly, what do? You also have a regulatory framework in place which deals with private cryptocurrencies as well, but looks at them very carefully. Now, here's another issue or a point to ponder about. If the central bank or the RBI comes out with digital currency and you start trading and start using currency or the digital currency all across the world and everything else that you do, I'm not saying it will happen overnight, but it has the potential to be taken up in a span of say 5 to 10 years. Because look at the way we have taken to digital payments. 5 years ago or before demonetization, we didn't know what digital payments were. We were so skeptical. Hardly few people would use Paytm or free charge used to be there. One of the first few ones to come out. Now you look at the number of players that have come through. Massive MNCs, big tech giants like Google, WhatsApp and others have this whole digital payment system. So if the central bank comes out with its own digital currency, what is then, and you start using it on a massive large scale and you have a direct account, what is then going to happen to our banks? What is then going to happen to the other financial institutions who use, who are into international trading, who are into international exchange of currency? All that is going to be affected because everyone is going to be dealing directly with the central bank and its centralized currency. That is another aspect that we need to think about and ponder about, which could be a big possibility. Now, from a security perspective, how can we be better prepared? What needs to be done? We understand that this is here. We understand that this is not going to go anywhere. So in such a kind of a scenario, what do we do considering terrorists and scamsters are going to be using this technology? Let's listen in.
Important thing first is the realization that cryptocurrency has come to stay and you can't avoid it any further. You see, there are countries like Ecuador, and Mr. Jawad will, of course, back me up, and I say there are other countries which have accepted cryptocurrency. And even, the greatest multinational heads like Elon Musk and all that had a meeting recently, I think a couple of months back on this subject itself. So cryptocurrency is like seamlessly to move into various countries. So the sooner, the better that you evolve an absolute, robust regulatory system, any of the kind. I'm not a technical man, and Mr. Jawad has explained that very well, but we should act fast on that, because that is one way. I'll tell you, the Europol has said that in the last through, it's not that cryptocurrency can't be, cracked. And, there are friends of mine who told me from abroad that, yes, even blockchain can be entered into. And that's why there are newer, as he said, the newer forms of cryptocurrencies which are coming up. But in terms of crime related to cryptocurrency, it has come down, estimate from $41.5 billion to $10 billion this year. So it means it can be done. But to do this, we need a lot of things. We need, as you rightly said, we have to have an organization which is totally gelled in with the objectives, which has all the requisite expertise. And it's very important to have the technical personnel. I think we need to have, break fresh ground, like, getting some IITians or the experts in the crypto area, so that, there is a look at it as to how we can penetrate the system. And I know already a lot of friends and their kids who are doing brilliantly on this. And they are earning a lot of money and they are getting a lot of money too. So it is something, if you deny, it is not going to work. And it has to be, tackled.
As you have mentioned,
so those are the security aspects that we just looked at. Very, very simple, very, very clear. We need personnel, we need the technology, and we need maybe a specialized organization or a specialized agency to deal with this, because this is something that is new, and we need fresh blood, fresh set of eyes to look at it. Someone who knows exactly what it is, or maybe if they don't even know what it is, maybe someone who can understand what this is and what kind of technology is being used. That is it from the security perspective. So if crypto is here to stay, what is the solution?
Countries, everyone is looking at facilitating cryptocurrencies, but with the absolute strong and proper regulations in place. So we have to look at the regulatory part. We have to identify our bodies that need to look at it. I think that's the reason I had also mentioned about the data protection bill to be passed by the parliament, because that data protection authority that is being looked at, or some of the data fiduciaries that could actually be specifically looking at the crypto part of the business, we have to be able to regulate them at a far much higher level than possibly we are envisaging. And at the same time, these ads that are going around, as all of us have been quite worried about this time, seeing every Hotstar, anything open, every time you would see one of those ads. So I think that there was some effort around the intermediary guidelines bills also around that was the regulations that were brought in to even look at how the advertisement also goes around all these media spaces. I think that has to be really looked at about how do we regulate it and how do you stop this kind of ads going. When an effort is being made by the central bank to arrive at a certain kind of regulatory mechanism in consultations with all these players, mind you, when RBI did that meeting on the 2nd of November, it had the crypto broker, it had the 3 exchanges, all of these people in place. So while they are going and talking there and trying to find a solution, here they are already jumping the gun and in a way kind of misusing the regulatory gap that is there. So I think somewhere the government has to be very tough on this and prevent all this ad business happening, or even penalizing them if they are doing at this stage, till we come to a understanding about how do we regulate it. But one thing is very certain, we have to get this regulatory act very fast, because every day you are getting more and more people getting into it. The youngsters see this as a very good way of earning money. You won't believe, in people in Assam, youngsters. I am very surprised that one of the top lawyers was telling me that most of the youngsters today have now started looking at Bitcoin and all these cryptos as one of the great ways of earning. So there is also another social dimension to all of this, that people who wouldn't have still got into a stock market or even the horse racing, betting or performing, are already getting into that crypto bit and earning quite a lot of that. But leaving aside that, I think I am very certain, Frank, that while we get our act together, we really need to first look at the regulatory and the legal environment.
Sure. So clear? We need to get the regulatory environment in place, and that is the only way to fix this particular problem. There is a social issue also coming out of this, as we've seen, horse racing and that kind of gambling come down slowly. Earlier used to have a lot of punters, and horse racing used to be a big thing. Now you have people getting on digital betting. You have this Dream 11 and whatnot. There is everything, and everybody seems to be hooked onto it. And cryptocurrency is another aspect of getting hooked onto, because the kind of returns that crypto promises, it's not just possible if it is done normally. And history has shown us that it is not possible. And that is why we've seen these chit fund scams and so many other scams in the past as well, when they look at people and they tell them that they're going to give them more than what they have put in. And that's the biggest problem. And that is what the problem is with cryptocurrency as well. So what is the best way forward? Let's listen to the experts.
So as I started, Frank, there are three components of this issue. One is the regulatory component, the second is the security component, and the third is the investment component. And of course, all the three issues are inextricably linked, in the sense that because this
regulatory, security, and investment. There are three components when we look at cryptocurrency. Important to note. Please make a note of it. Regulatory, security, and investment.
Digital token is a cause for concern. It is not legally recognized as a currency. It is not legally recognized as an investment asset. And currently, it is in a gray area. Hence, people are taking advantage of ignorance of the common man to invite them to invest in these things. The regulators are shying away from their responsibilities in terms of regulating it or controlling it. Hence, there is...
Sure. Right. Mr. Azad?
Well, let me sort of reiterate my point. First is that India being the ninth largest in terms of the cryptocurrency trade, and also the most important part, that India is in a special place. In Middle East and Africa, the internet is not that prevalent. And therefore, in India, with these facilities, proper facilities, cryptocurrency crimes and cryptocurrency terror funding can really come in a big way. Right now, it is at a nascent stage. It is a stage when it should immediately get in. First is, of course, the national policy of realization. And second is, of course, the complement of whether it's the NIA, the Economic Officers Wing of the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate, the entire clutch of these organizations have to put together immediately a system which enables, a very high level of electronic breakthrough in these organization, trading, funding. And already we are seeing it in its incipient stages. And therefore, I feel it is the right time to get into it, and in a time-bound program, come up with clear objectives and a clear agenda.
Absolutely. And Subhamal Bhattacharya, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Yeah, I think it's very important, Frank, to understand that, from a security perspective, all the agencies, particularly, their economic offenses wing needs to be really bolstered at various levels. I think more and more cyber offenses have also become more of, economic offenses force multiplied. So I think, this is where we need to, of course, have a look at it. Then when it comes to regulatory thing, you have to look at all the KYC norms and all, whether they would be even sufficient in this case. I might be an Indian operating a wallet here, and trading in a crypto exchange here. A foreigner is not allowed, but he might be exchanging coins with my wallet, and so I get an opportunity even to trade with his and find a way to even send him the money. So we find another method of laundering whatever we gain. So I think it's very important, to first understand that we have to live with it. Two, we have to regulate. we have to look at the security part. Yatish has brought out very clearly, that the investment part that today possibly is driving a lot of people to put in money in this country, that really, needs to be even dispelled with. And most important, the government of the day has to come on it far much more forcefully.
So, what are the key takeaways from this discussion? Here it is.
Well, what's coming out of this discussion is that when we look at cryptocurrency, one fundamental question needs to be answered. Is it a digital asset? The answer to that question, however, is not very simple, since crypto has grown considerably and it is here to stay. What we need is better regulation. It is not a legal tender in India, but crypto ads are all over the place. How and why? The government is rightly concerned about the threats it poses with regards to terror financing and money laundering. Not just that, it is also troubling the youth. The only answer to the problem is a proper legal framework. Parliamentary Standing Committee has said that this is a threat and we need to have a bill or a law to deal with this particular issue. When and how it comes remains the big question. Now, before I go,
Okay. So that is that with regards to cryptocurrencies. I hope that you have understood it and you understood the problems with cryptocurrency. What are the solutions and what is the best way forward and what kind of threats it poses. Very self-explanatory discussion. In 20 minutes, the entire cryptocurrency issue is covered. So many people are talking about cryptocurrency, it all goes over our head. We don't even understand what is happening, it's a data mining and all these difficult and complex terms, all sorted out in 20 minutes. I don't think we should have any problems with cryptocurrency now. At least for me, someone who has no background in such kind of things, for me it was very, very easy and simple to understand. Any questions, anything that you have on this?
if you like the content, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon and share the video as well so that more people get to know about us.